the way MJ was just awkwardly standing there, and you could tell she has no like social game to really know what to do here. Hello, I am Nicole Weaver, and you're watching Black by Reality, a place for Black by baddies, those who love us, and reality TV. Before we get into our video today, I just wanted a reminder that if you can please subscribe, help support this Black Queer podcast, I would be so thankful. If you can also like this video and comment your thoughts. We love to hear what you guys have to say just as much as we love hearing from our guests. Just want to say we cover so many good shows right now on this channel. One being The Traitors. You can look at our past videos. I've had Sabaya Broderick, Katura Tops of Survivor 45, and then we reached back to Survivor 43 for some other guests like Dwight Moore and James Jones. We're also covering Love is Blind. My co-host, Quita Tinsley, is back to talk about life in the pods and outside it, and hopefully we're going to get some other guests for that. We are talking about Couple to Throuple, which I feel like I've been waiting ever since the trailer dropped. And lastly, Survivor 46 is coming up. So if you are a Survivor fan, please subscribe to the channel. Gonna have some more Survivor peeps back and maybe hopefully some new faces. And basically, stay tuned. Sometimes we also do interviews, talk to the people on Love is Blind last year. Would love to get interviews again. And Big Brother. So we got a lot of good stuff going on. And if you never want to miss out, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.
When she's like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful Black moment. Did we get any of those in this episode?
Black.
We have a chaotic vibe moment of the
Chaotic vibe moment. And you're watching Black by Reality.
Black by baddies.
And those who love us.
Hello, you are watching or listening to the Black by Reality podcast, a place for Black by baddies and those who love us and reality TV. I'm your host, Nicole Weaver, an entertainment writer currently for Collider, and I am so happy because I am joined by James Jones of Survivor 43. Hello, James.
Hey, what's going on, Nicole? Thanks for having me on your podcast. Appreciate this opportunity. Continue to do your thing. I think it is good to keep, I think diversity is good just for all reasons, but in general, just from a reality TV standpoint, hearing different perspectives, make sure that you know that you're seen when you are playing. So I appreciate the coverage and continue to do what you do.
Oh, thank you. I think especially that I was already covering the CBS circuit and like they increased the diversity, but the media is still like catching up. I'm still hearing people from Survivor like, "Oh, you're the first Black podcast I talked to today," and it's like, damn. But that's why I like doing this. What have been your thoughts so far? We had 6 episodes at the beginning. People have been banished. We got our first traitor out. What do you think of this season?
So it's interesting. So I watched the first season, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
watch like UK and Australia and all the other seasons before this season dropped. So I'm watching this season, and then I just got real excited. Like after the damn vote out, I retweeted. I tweeted Phaedra. Phaedra reposted me. I was like, oh yeah, yo, this is this is lit. So then I went and just rewatched. I binged UK and I binged Australia. And I feel like this season, I feel like the personalities they got right with regards to just the casting and the right level of game players and the right level of people figuring out and the right level of people just not knowing what's happening. I feel like you need a balance where you don't have, everybody is kind of just super game body or everybody's super, I don't know, I'm just here for vibes. So I feel like they had this good mix of people. So I think that's been the most interesting part for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think in season 1, it was interesting because all the Bravo people were just knocked out. And it's like, I understand, But now that there's still Bravo around, it's like they're still figuring things out, but then some of them are just really good. And a lot of the clueless people are still in the Bravo sphere. So I'm happy about that aspect.
I mean, but the thing about it is, I think one of the things about it being clueless is I think an asset in the game. I
Mhm.
mean, there's no point in from what I've seen, there's no point in really like trying to find the trader too early. They're going to just replace them, and probably kind of with someone that you're not expecting. So it's interesting the fact that there's so many different trader games, but then you have streaming. So I feel like now there's starting to be kind of like a meta traders
Mhm.
like philosophies that are coming out for different people. But like I legit have no idea how you even play the game. Like I mean, you're really going off of just vibes. Vibes when you're out there. I mean, and if even if you're right, you start to blast. So it's kind of you have to really kind of pick and choose your moments. So I think it's interesting. It's still developing. I think they're still trying to figure out things from like a production standpoint of how to keep it spicy when people know who the
Mhm.
traders are. Like what happens, if someone turns down a trade request, a trader's offer, like what happened in the previous episode, which we'll get into probably. But I feel like there's a lot of layers of gamemanship where it's taking kind of mafia to like the next level. So
Absolutely. We'll get to all that because a part of me is like, did Sandra just break the game? I don't know, but we'll talk
no,
about it.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about episode 7. We start with Alan interrupting our traders, and he says, Peter, you know, he turned you down. Parvati calls him a dummy. She said, this isn't a good look for her. Meanwhile, Peter's in his interview talking about, I want to win the right way. And this got a lot of attention on Twitter.
I mean, so with regards to, I'm in the Twitter streets, not really. I was in the Reddit streets, not really. Like, I feel like there's no right way, but I do feel
Mhm.
that, I feel like relationships are important within the game without. So if you're building relationships, you don't know where those relationships are going to take you outside of the game. And you may not want to ruin some of those relationships. So the question is, like what is $250,000 when you're actually building bonds and you're building relationships and you have to live with how you play and you have to kind of think about. I think now people go into shows thinking about how I'm going to be perceived after I leave
Mhm.
the show. So especially if you're already in the public eye, so you're thinking about that as well. So I feel and it may be more comfortable, easier to play the game as a faithful than a trader. So I think he kind of settled in to his role. I think it's interesting he didn't accept being, a trader. I don't know if it's stupid or not, but I definitely saw a path forward with him as a trader where he could just take out the traders and be at the end and kind of easily kind of win if he kind of gets another couple notches under his belt. But I feel like the game, from what I've seen, is you don't want to take too much control of it early, just because you're going to get new traders, you're going to have new twists, and you want to make sure that you're not too locked in when those things happen.
Yeah. I was rooting as a fan and a viewer, I was rooting for Peter to say no because I am enjoying the power play that Parvati and Peter have. I actually think they're so similar. You know? Like, as much as Parvati's like, oh, I hate his smug little smile, I think Parvati also has her own. We know the Parvati squint and like she looking like she cooking something up. I think they're two of the same coin, so I think it's really fun. But I know some people are like, I'm over Peter. The people who are really into gamer games, like Big Brother and Survivor, I think they really hate the moral standing that some people take on reality TV because they're about the game. Like we got Sandra and Parvati, they're villains, I think, considered in the Survivor world. And they also root for them. They're like villains we love. You
Okay,
don't
no,
agree?
villain. I never looked at Parvati or Sandra as a villain, but I feel like
Okay.
I view things from a different like paradigm, like where I enjoy the way they play. I don't know anything villainous that like from a game standpoint, you got to
Mhm.
protect your back at all times. I learned that myself. But like from a villainous, I don't know if Sandra's a villain. I can see Parv getting some villain scores, but I feel like also like when you play and your back is against the wall and everybody knows you're good or everybody is targeting you, there's a
Yeah.
different like weight when you're playing games. I never played, Traitors, but when people
Mhm.
know you're good versus when
Mhm.
people like think you're like it's hard to describe but in the game, but when you're there in the moments, like it's about gravity. So like
Yeah.
who has the most gravity at the time? So
Mhm.
Peter was exerting his gravity over the group. And some people like to have all the gravity and dictate. And some people are fine with having people dictate towards them and have them move into some of these games or just in life. So, and that's what I think, is happening right now. And that's even with the first banishment, I felt like Dan wanted to kind of canvas people, but a person like Johnny is somebody who if people are gravitating towards somebody, you can't stop that with a group because every group is different.
I agree. I totally agree. All right. So, and by the way, while they're still in the turret, Phaedra is just like, this could be your last meal. She like giving up already on
I'm,
Parvati.
I mean, here's the deal, man. Like Dan was coming at Phaedra neck part. Like they've been
Yes.
discount. Like so, that's the thing. Like when you have to kind of sometimes, at least for me, I kind of assume like I think what's going on or try to assume what's happening when the camera's not on. And Phaedra is not a dummy, and people may not be like familiar, but being around, she deals with social circles in Atlanta. I don't know where she's living at now, but you get a feeling for who's playing in your face, who likes you, who really
Hmm.
doesn't like you, like. And you play nice and you play cordial, but you kind of those things. Phaedra's like, yo, you about to get voted out, like this is like this is what it is. Like you need to. I mean, I feel like she gave five of these good. Like, yo, stop being a mean girl. Like, no one's
Let's
digging
listen
that
to
right now.
this. Let's listen to this because I got this clip because it was so good.
Yeah, I'm so worried about you. But you gotta stop acting like an ice princess. You gotta stop doing that. Like an ice princess? Yes. Okay, do I need to be nicer or what? Yeah, you give off mean girls a little bit because you're just like, you're either Iron Maiden or an ice princess. Every time I walk into a room, people stop talking. I don't know, but you're gonna have to just be more lovable. Okay. Yeah.
Parvati was over it at the lovable. She said, "Okay, bitch."
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, but that's the thing is kind of, when depending on the kind of the social circles of the house and the people left, it's like who has the gravity and who are people gravitating towards. So I feel like people from a social standpoint are gravitating towards Phaedra. In that regard, Phaedra holds a lot of power. Whether they think Phaedra is a traitor, whether they think Phaedra is not a traitor, more people from what I see are gravitating towards Phaedra than they are gravitating towards poverty. And I don't know if that's how it was in Survivor, how those things work, but it's tough to kind of deal with because you kind of always want to have, regardless of if you're on a reality TV show, or you're on vacation, or you're in a group, or you're at work, you always want to have that person. And like having that person in any of those situations always makes things easier. And I don't know if, Parv has that, but I think, Phaedra does have people that, like and will ride for her.
I feel like Parv's social standing would be so different in part if Peppermint was kept in the game. Kind of sad that Peppermint went early, but Peppermint was trying to hold peace between Parvati and Sandra, trying to piece that back together.
I mean, truth be told, with Survivor beef, I don't know how much of it is like real or I'm not in the
Yeah.
pantheon of legendary old schoolers, so I don't have Parv and Sandra's number. I don't even know they know who I am. So at the end of the day, I don't know what's happening there. But I will say, so like a lot of that's just casting and luck. Like if you get like I guess you look at CT and Phaedra, like who like the odd couple of reality TV that you never thought you would ever need to see.
I'm
And be like,
shipping it. I'm shipping it.
but like it's just from a even just from like the remaining just from a friendship standpoint, it's interesting, and I think this is the beauty of seeing like putting together a cast like this is. I don't think 10 years ago, 5 years ago, Phaedra and CT would have been cast in any type of the same show at any
No.
point. I feel like also Parv's in a tough position, being that she is considered one of the better and one of the best survivors players ever. So
Mhm.
going into this type of environment, people already have their eyes on you, but no one's checking for Kev of Bling Empire. Like, I mean, great dude, probably enjoyed him on the show. Don't know anything about Bling Empire.
Yeah.
However, from a just threat level standpoint, there's probably less eyes on him than Parvati.
Mhm.
And based on Parvati's playstyle, if you ever seen Survivor, it's like that playstyle will also have people think, okay, so you gotta have two buckets against you if you're as opposed to being a happy-go-lucky person that goes on the show.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. All right, let's get to breakfast. Day after. So everyone's filing in. The big thing is that once everyone gets there, well, the last two people, because they were like, oh, maybe it's Trishelle or Kevin. Nah, they walk in. They automatically know this means someone may or may not have been recruited. They've seen this show before, and Parvati's like, I'm gonna try to paint a target on Peter's back, and was just like, so Peter, you know, who got recruited? Peter, maybe you were. Peter has the biggest smile on his face because he knows exactly what's going on. And, Parv says, I have my predatory headband on and I have my sights on Peter.
I mean, that's good that she has that. Don't know if she has the kind of votes. It's like kind of like when people are like, "Yo, I want to make a move. I want to make a move. I want to make a move." It's great to talk about it, but can you actually get the votes to do it? Right. So
Hmm.
like that's kind of the balance when it's like, oh yeah, like I'm playing hard, I'm playing hard, I'm playing hard. You can play hard, but if you don't got the votes to kind of get people out, like you can play hard all you want, you still got to do what the group tells you to do,
Yeah.
because you don't have social capital at the present moment. So I feel like she's trying to put Peter in a better light. I feel like a better way to go about it is how it was done later in the episode, but
Hmm.
um, because I mean, I feel like it like you have to kind of make and if this and I was thinking kind of like this too a little bit like this is a numbers game. So like at
Yep.
the end of the day, like your goal is to have a majority of people voting with you at the round table. Traitor be darn, you only control half. So it's kind of like if you were playing Survivor, you like kind of understand, all right, I need my numbers here, and who knows what this other group is going to do, but I can control this aspect, and I know if I lose this aspect, I lose control of both.
Yeah. I will say I don't think the Traitors is inherently a numbers game. I don't know if we were talking numbers last season, but I think the way the Survivor players are surviving, it's turning into a numbers game, which is like up to you on whether you prefer that strategy or not.
I mean, here's the deal. Someone's going home. Two people go home every episode,
Yep.
so it doesn't actually like. I feel like eventually this is the evolution of strategy. Like Sandra watched all three seasons, and and she broke it down from a strategic standpoint where like it's great if we guess the traders, but what does that really prove when they're going to actually if the goal is to make it to the end and then guess the traders. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
We'll get there.
goal one, make to the end. Goal
Yeah.
two, guess the traders. Because if you know that you're a faithful and you get to the end, you control your fate. So I feel like I feel like Sandra just brought some meta strategy in, which I feel is probably good strategy. But like I said, like I think a lot of times good strategy may not make for the best reality television from a
Mhm.
viewer standpoint, also
Mhm.
from just being able to put together an episode, like from a producer standpoint. I feel like it's tough for them to show good strategy.
So we have the Peter Posse. First of all, he has rejected invite. Then everyone goes their separate ways. The Peter Posse, they go into a separate room. They are making it so obvious they're working together. Phaedra tries to walk in. They said no. I think once Phaedra went back and said something, that held like a little bit more weight than like Parvati was trying to infiltrate last time. MJ was pulling a Bravo move. She thought she was gonna get this like big blow or whatever. So she goes over, she tries to go in, and they were like, no. And she's like, well, why can't I be here? And she's just standing there awkwardly. It's turning into a meme now. The way MJ was just awkwardly standing there, and you could tell she has no like social game to really know what to do here.
I mean, but even with that, it's kind of also just having your people. Like, I feel like one of the things about these games that I think is overlooked and not talked about is like how other people like can coax you in and can help you kind of navigate, the game and just other people. Where you like when you don't have a natural in with somebody, it is tough having a conversation. Like I think people underestimate that. Like people are like, oh yeah, so you're on reality TV, just go build a relationship and go run stuff. And it's like, have
Mhm.
you imagine going to a bar and there's like 10 people sitting there and you have to like and five people having a conversation and two groups of five, you're the 11 and you gotta get in one of those conversations. You don't know nobody. You don't have a relationship with anybody. So I feel like people underestimate that skill set in doing that, but then people also, underestimate how much I think being exclusionary on these games, or the perceived or being or the perception that there is a group, meaning
Mhm.
there's a group, they're working together, but they aren't together in a sense. Like it's like like they're a team, but they're not a team that plays together every time. They're like a team of all stars that's
Yeah.
put together. They're not
Yeah.
like and I think sometimes you see that group together, and you're like, oh, that group is unbreakable and XYZ. And really, it
Mhm.
just that's where they fall into from a social strategy place. And that group can be broken up, but when you're in the moment, I think it's tough to see that the group can fracture very quickly and very easily.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that most of these people are making this bad move of how exclusionary they're being, but the one person that I question a little harder is Trishelle. Shouldn't Trishelle know better given she's from the challenge?
So I think this is where I kind of differ from a lot of like I don't think there's rules, right? I feel like people are going to no matter what you do, like people are going to make up the narrative of what your game is that
Mm,
fits their folks. It's like you can do things to help people make that narrative up, but people going to make that narrative up regardless. Like the faithful of the faithful is not the first time Sandra has said this. Like, this five. So like the fact they were in the room and they did that but that just cemented the seeds that have been sown. But it's necessarily, mean they like Giselle. I
mhm,
mean, at the end of the day, she didn't tell them to stop. And you also have to get in with a crew. Like, what's the point of being independent? Like, because you have then your face in someone else's hands, meaning, like you may not be in target by the traders. You may not be in the faithful of the faithfuls, but the faithful of the faithfuls can banish you. So you have to figure
mhm.
out like how much, how much autonomy, how much, agency do you want to have in your game?
Yeah.
So if so, was it a good move, bad move? I do think sometimes it's like putting pressure on is a good thing in these games. Like at the end of the day, like yeah, we five people. Like it's a numbers game. Like what? Like what do you like? I feel like sometimes that's the thing about like from like a game theory point of view, and just like non-reality gamers. It's kind of like we are playing a game. We are five. You are
Mhm,
two. Why are you trying to tell me what to do? We are five. Now this may change next vote, but like move with the numbers.
mhm. So, the people who are now the leftovers, which I know this was triggering to Big Brother 23 fans, Taylor Hale's season, she got swept up into a alliance called the Leftovers. So that basically was from a similar situation. So the leftovers are Sheree, Sandra, MJ, Parvati, which is just hilarious, and Phaedra, and then Kate and CT. Although CT is playing a middleman game. We'll get to that later. And like you said, Sandra's breaking it down with the pool table of this is a numbers game. We have to make sure they don't banish one of us first. Then it's 5-4, And
Mhm.
I think she's still at this point, she thinks uh Peter could be a traitor, which I think first I was like, that's weird. But then you just know that Peter was probably most likely the recruit. So we haven't ruled out whether he actually said yes or no yet. So yeah.
I mean, I think Sandra is like literally just playing Survivor. I
Yep.
feel like at the end, like I feel like at the end of the day, there's so many variables still. I don't know. This is what's on 7 and 5. There's 12 people left. You have to get down to four. So I feel like this is kind of like Sandra's like look treating this like pre-merge, Whereas, like, I mean, end of the day, as long as I have my numbers and people are going home, we get a trader, great. If we don't,
Mhm.
okay, that's fine. Just more information. And I think that's a good way to kind of go about it as a faithful, in the sense of, if you're taking out people that aren't, you're not influencing, then you have your people that you are influencing. That gives you a bit of safety. So I feel like playing a little bit of Survivor right now just makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Um, Especially because I think this is kind of, this is like mid merge. Like, this is where people like me go home, go home. So I feel like this is a good move. And
Yeah.
for Sandra. Yeah.
Things are picking up. Kate was excited by this, by the way. She was like, "This is amazing." Like, I don't know if she's a Survivor fan, but you can tell she was thrilled about Sandra. All right. After this, we got oh, okay. So every episode, I do a misguided faithful of the week.
Mhm.
Do you? I'm going with MJ. I'm going with MJ. She's trying her hardest, but trying to infiltrate that group failed. We'll get to later. We see her social standing, even though she's a Bravo girly, is actually not that strong. So she could get banished at any moment.
I mean, yeah. I feel like when you don't have that person, and I think, she got not hurt. I feel like she doesn't have like a person that she may connect with, overall.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I feel like she doesn't have a strong kind of read on the social game aspect of it. But that just takes time. Like, I feel like sometimes in these games, it takes you a while to get your feet wet, get your bearing. I think it's what it's been like, maybe probably 7 days. So, like, I think as more people leave, you never know when people kind of pick up on or become better. I know everybody was saying Jack was a horrible player, for the first half of the Big Brother season,
I
and then
know.
he was able to kind of get his feet wet, get his legs under him. And once you kind of evens out, you have less players. So I think, two more people go home. Now you kind of can put some things together. So I don't know if she's going to, win, but that's a very good choice of misguided faithful. If I had to choose a misguided faithful, like with my criteria, I think I have to go with. I feel like Bergie. Feel like Bergie is just lining himself to get killed by being Peter's number two. Like, long term, I don't know if he's gonna make it, because I think he can play the middle a little more. I think CT is playing a great middle game, um, where he's not on Peter's radar, but he also isn't making an enemy of the other side. And I think that's a great place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Bergie has like Phaedra on his side. Like he needs to be using his everyone's like so trusting of Bergie. Like he needs to kind of fawn a little bit more to everyone else so they can then be like, "Oh, Bergie's not that bad." But yeah, if you can't take a shot at Peter, the move is take a shot at Bergie. So dangerous. All
Exactly.
right. Look at Alan coming. I love this outfit. It's for the mission. He got the net because we're gonna get to the nets later. I also kind of said while I was watching this, I was like, he's wearing AKA colors.
Yo. Oh
Yo.
shoot, yeah, the pink and green. I had to dig in there. I had to look real
And
close.
it's
Yeah.
that specific pink and green. It's like, okay, Alan.
Yo, I mean, Black History Month,
Black
represent,
history. Absolutely. So Alan explains that the cast can add up to $25,000 to the prize pot if they make it through the woods carrying the gold. Sandra's dreading this because Sandra's whole thing is I don't run, but she has been running in the past during that bird mission. I saw her, so
I mean, I'm with the whole not running thing. I mean, like, I I get it. People like challenges and everything like that. I mean, I fast forward through the challenges, like, for the most part. Not in most shows. Like, I'm like, I just like seeing this the interpersonal strategy. I like how Traders sometimes introduces, different social things within their games,
Yes.
so that so it's not just physical. It's like you have to answer questions about this or work together on this. Where so I think those things adds to kind of the tension, and are
Mhm.
things that I like to see kind of in my challenges, where it's like, who is the most trustworthy? Choose left or right. Like
Yep.
like choose your partner. It has like so I think Traders gets that part pretty right with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, running just no. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I think they really try to spread out because they know their fan base is all over the place. So some of the missions, like you said, yeah, we heard you. We need something that actually influences the social. But then it's a reality show. We gotta get these reality stars to do something a little embarrassing. Alan literally said, if you get caught up in the woods, you might lose your dignity. So that's what we're going for. We're going for good TV this time around.
Oh man.
So everyone has to pair up. Yo, when Phaedra just looks up at CT and he gives the "How you doing?"
Um, when you like something is about like having that connection with somebody from a game standpoint, like me and Carla like super click like that. We're like, I don't like if you like there's episodes where like we just look at each other, we just like bet we understand what's happening, what's going
Yeah.
on, and like that's like dope feeling to have in the game when you're playing these things, because like any bit of comfort is good when you're like you don't have your cell phone, you're with people that you just randomly you may know them, you may not know them, and this is just and like being able to have that connection with somebody is a thing, and that's really dope to see. So
It's so good. All right, so they take the $500 bag. Parv and John, they take the 7K. Trishelle and Peter take the 10K, and they have to answer things in the forest. I'm not going to go through every question, but I will say who loses at what point. So Peter and is just so confident, and I love it for him that he gets into this mud pile. Trishelle has to keep on without him. Same thing happens to Bergie. Oh my god. And I just love Sheree's reaction when she sees that, because she was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, I feel like that I was waiting for certain people to get caught up in that, where I'm just like, oh, this is about to be hilarious. Like, I
Mhm.
could, because I think if you didn't see it happening, you may not be aware that it's gonna happen. I don't know if like production told them like, hey, it's okay, a net may pop up, but it's like your natural reaction, something's supposed to happen, but it's one
Mhm.
thing to see it happening and just it happening to you, and they're like, give me them
Absolutely.
quick, like I can see like that aspect of it, like case like I'm in a hammock, I'm just rolling. I mean, so yeah, stuff's fun.
Yeah. So speaking of that, they carry on, and yeah, we got Sheree gets caught up in a net. This is MJ. She is peeking out, which I love.
Yeah.
And CT also gets scooped in the neck. Phaedra's the one who was absolutely over it. She said,
Oh,
"All
of
right,
course,
guys, get."
of
She said, "Now
course.
get me out of here. Get me out of here."
Of course, like that was not going to end well. Like that was she was probably up there 10 seconds. Like they got all the footage they could get. That's probably stock image of her. That's probably not even her. They probably did about. There's no way she's up there for more than like 10 seconds. Like
I
that was a
know.
no go.
I know. And Kate doesn't make it, but she was like, this isn't so bad. I've seen the mud pile or whatever. She was like, this is cool. So that leaves Parvati and John, which we get this picture. She's so happy. She's never been happier.
I mean, like I feel like she did like that's a good smile. Like that's the smile that we haven't like necessarily seen all season. We've seen the
Exactly.
scowl, but yeah, but John is doing his thing, man. John is he's like from the UK. He's out here. He's moving fast. He's a fast runner. Clearly, he's out there moving in that one challenge. He was moving
He
with
was
that
trying.
black and red. So I feel like he's done a good job of integrating into the group. I felt like he would have been a great trader selection, but I feel like making a great trader selection is also maybe your doom, which we've seen in other Survivor, where
Yeah.
you may just want to choose the person everybody thinks is the traitor. Like you made this one you use the extra traitors as shields for yourself, saying, "Well, they think you're a traitor. Well, let's give them their wish." like,
Exactly.
I mean, John, but I think John's playing a solid game. He's definitely not going to be banished.
No. He
So
beat the asthma allegations, if you remember that.
I mean, but that's the thing in these shows, like like if that's done a different way, or if somebody different that has pool, it may got them out. Like
Mhm.
that's how these shows work. Like as far as it doesn't, it's sometimes the delivery, but it's never what it's about. It's always
Yeah.
the delivery, who has the juice at the time, and can you give
Mhm.
people enough of an excuse to kind of go with it. And John did a good job of building up credibility and to review it, because that's the one thing you have to do, is kind of be like, all right, well, they said this now, but you know me and like me, so what are you gonna go with, But he did beat
Exactly.
the asthma. He did have his inhaler allegation, because that, like he's a traitor because he lied about having asthma. That was, it's like when you think about it, it was really ridiculous. However, like he's risking death because he's a traitor, like So I mean, it's a ridiculous argument, but you can frame anything up in any type of way, like to get
Yeah.
people to like Cassie and Gio were beefing over cutting up like a potato on the island. So at the
I
end of the day,
know.
you can have beef over anything in reality TV. I've seen it.
Sandra and Kevin, they're also in this, and Sandra's like, "Look, I have never won anything." She said, "I never won a shield." I know she really wanted to say, "I never won immunity, guys. Like, this is not what I'm known for. So I want this bad." And in the end, I'm so happy for her because it was all about who got there the fastest. And our girl Sandra, she pulled it out. This is how she celebrated.
Of you escape with something even more precious than gold. I can now reveal the players who made it through the forest fastest, and who won 2 shields, protecting them tonight from the traitor's tentacles. Kevin, Sandra! Finally! Congratulations. It feels like safety.
I have never seen her so loud and exuberant. It's so good.
I mean, winning does that. Like that feeling is dope, and she's done mad shows. So like then I'm glad for the applause. I like diversity and challenges where you don't necessarily need to be able to run 10 miles, but you
Hmm.
get some physical to it. So I feel like it was a good mix. And like it's a challenge that almost like anybody can win, unlike Big Brother challenges that they come up with, where it's kind of just like who
Look,
can run a 40-yard dash the fastest, like
it's
you know.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Big Brother. But yes, this is gonna just make even more like Survivor players or players from other shows want to go on because it's like, hey, Sandra got her first like competition win on here. So big win for the Traitors.
I mean, yes, traders. Please cast me. I would love to go
Do
out there
it.
if you yeah. I will not run fast, and I will promise I'm not out there to be a strong player. Like I'm not like out there to be athletic. Trust me. But yeah, I mean, I just I like different challenges and diverse challenges that challenge you in different ways.
Love it. All right, post mission. Now the cast can just talk, scheme. So right now it is the ladies. He calls them the Queen Council, I think. And it's Parvati, I think Kate and Phaedra are talking in the hallway amongst themselves. They're talking about we got to get Peter out. I think everyone who is on the leftovers are saying Peter, Peter, Peter. So CT hears that. And mind you, this is also something to keep in mind. There's not many men left.
He was, yeah. I mean, he does like no, there are now. Like they went fast.
Yeah. And I think CT knows right now, like, if he has a shield at all, it's Peter. So I think it did behoove him to rat out the Queen Council to Peter. He's like, hey, just letting you know, you're on the block. He uses big brother terms.
I mean, I feel like there hasn't been any justice for men this season. We've been voted out at a very high level, you know, and there's no sympathy for us. I know. But yeah, I mean, you kind of have to kind of think that, you know, you kind of, I think you do want to, you're conscious of, you know, your genders out there. I don't know when you're playing, well, how much that should impact your decision making,
Hmm.
but you're conscious of it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
yeah,
have Dan to blame, honestly. Dan was killing the men left and right. He caught Johnny Bananas out. He's still mad about that. He then took out Marcus because Marcus was onto him. So he was just doing the
I
work.
mean, I get it, understand. I may be on a
Yeah.
season where a lot of women went home like in a
Yep.
row, but necessarily wasn't necessarily your choice or your fault. But then you're kind of
Hmm.
left with these optics, and then you're just like, well, do we want to vote out all all the guys? But I mean, end of the day, you got to think about those things, you know, and
Hmm.
it's I feel like the way you classify people is how you get people to kind of stick a classification to you by saying those are the queens and like that's putting a target and putting people, you know, together as a group, you know, which
Hmm.
is classic, you know, reality TV, but also it's a good way to talk about, you know, people in groups. Like it's an easier way.
Absolutely.
So
So Peter, he does what MJ was trying to do earlier, and he goes over to the Queen Council. All of a sudden, they're trying to disperse, which is like actually what happens more in Big Brother. Like Peter just flat out is like, "Can you leave?" That would never happen in the Big Brother house. They're just like, "Oh, I got something to do upstairs." All of a sudden,
see, and that's the gamer thing where it's just like, yo, we talking, like,
yeah.
like I feel like you know, like that's like, ooh, they're plotting, like everybody is plotting, like everybody is
Hmm.
scheming. So like for me, I just like, but I get it. If you're playing with a bunch of people that think like that, you have to think
Hmm.
like that. Even if you just like, yo, y'all are in an obvious alliance. You may not saying you're in an alliance, y'all working together. Nothing's wrong with that
Yeah.
because y'all not working with me. Like if you're not working with me, then I know you're in an alliance against me. That's how these games work. Like if we're not having these real conversations, that means you're working against how much you're working against me
Hmm.
is the question, and how much like how neutral am I? But like, yeah, if we're not plotting, then you're working against me.
Yep. So he's like, "Oh, can we go talk?" And he's mostly talking about Phaedra and Parvati. This is the picture that got leaked or like was in, I think, probably the trailer of them sitting in the armory. So this
They
is
were
what
trying to
had
pump fake
a
everybody.
yeah, everyone last week was like, "Oh, Peter definitely says yes," because look at them. This is
Mhm.
so much more interesting than what we thought was going to happen because the way tries to navigate this conversation, you could tell Phaedra's nervous. I knew immediately because the minute she sat down, I have never seen her once this whole entire season playing with her hair. All of a sudden, she's like in the corner playing with her hair. Like, what is going on? And yeah, he asked Parvati like, oh, what's the consensus? What's the name? He's like, and this is so smug of him, but it's also so fun to watch. He's like, well, Parvati, do you have anything convincing? All of a sudden, he's putting in the position of, you need to convince me, Parvati.
So this is where I bite back. It's true. He got the juice. Like,
Yeah.
all right, this is the thing of all right. So this is my not my beef with like reality TV sometimes a little bit. They're like, oh yeah, why are you talking like that? I got the numbers. Like, what do you like? I'm literally trying to like say I have the numbers. What can you defend yourself now? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, oh, so like either way, she knows he has the numbers, right? 'Cause that's the reason why she feels that way. Cause,
Hmm.
cause he like so we know these things, but people are like, oh yeah, he's being like, no, Peter ain't being bad. Peter being realistic. Peter like, yeah, I got 5 people. I got these numbers. Can you convince me that you're not a traitor? And you can either take that opportunity to do so, or you can act like Peter is being a bully. But it's like at the end of the day, it's kind of like you would rather want someone have that conversation with you than it's to vote you out with having that conversation.
Yeah.
So I think every competition is an opportunity, but I do think sometimes people get hopped on for saying what's obvious in the game from a it's like I have the juice, I have the numbers, or I have these numbers. Like, what are you
Yeah.
saying to convince me, or what are you bringing to the table to make me change my vote? Like, because I mean, so am I being smug? Am I being just honest? Am I being transparent? Am I being just
Yeah.
direct? And so, I think there's a balance to trying to figure out where to go. But sometimes I think being
Mhm.
direct is very good because like I would want to know if, and maybe I'm wrong, if where someone stands that we're playing. If someone is very direct with
Yeah.
me, I know where they
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah.
It may not be what I want to hear, but the person that's they tell me everything I want to hear, but are they an
Mhm.
ally? Are they my friend? Like, are they gonna
And like
backstab me?
the good Big Brother players honestly will BS you. And it's very frustrating to watch because it doesn't give the other side any chance if there's always a hope that they're actually on your side. But yeah, I will say I do think Peter's juice is running out because at this point, this conversation started because CT said, your name is on the block. The leftovers right now outnumber Peter. So I know he knows there's actually real danger. I think he says this is the first time like my name is actually out there before a round table. So it is interesting that he's still coming with this energy, which is like, you pulled her.
I mean, heavy is the crown. I feel like sometimes you gotta keep. This is my personality. I guess is why I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
But once you have the momentum in these games, it's tough to take your foot off the gas because once you do, you can't give up agency in most games. Like you can't go from
Mhm,
power to not power. Like it doesn't
mhm.
work like that from a people's viewership standpoint. People look at you like, oh, you were powerful, then you gave me your power. Now we can take you down. Like
Yep,
no one goes from like being the king of running the game to the bottom and stays. Like once you're the king, you get dethroned, you go home. So you
yep,
have to kind of, I feel like D, we're not talking about Survivor, but D kept her foot on the foot on the pedal. She's like, yo,
mhm.
we coming in, we it just kept it going. You can't lower your threat level. Like you already a
Yeah,
threat. People like
yeah.
people aren't gonna wake up and say, well, Peter's not well, so you lean in a little bit, calibrate, but I think it's interesting. I think Sandra took his power more so than he lost it. But that's a different story.
Yes,
Probably gonna get there.
absolutely. Absolutely. Another part of this is that Peter talked too much. Like he did so well when he had those one-on-ones with Dan and Parvati when he obviously made it clear that he was onto them. And he did so well that he let them talk and just sat and like had his smile on that Parvati hates. This time he's like, well, convince me. But then he also says, maybe we can work together. And Parvati's like, what? And I was like, she's going to use that against you. You're talking too much. And this is when Phaedra was like, I got to dip. This is what, this was so funny. This is what Phaedra said.
This is what I don't like, this kind of stuff. Like, I don't like this. It's not like it. We can work together. You want to work together and get somebody out? I don't like that kind of stuff. Don't leave it. But I don't want to be in no collusion. Y'all talk. Straight is
Collusion.
like, I don't know. If you think I'm a traitor, why would you want to work with me?
She said, y'all talk. You got that. You thought this is a
I'm
setup.
not part of no collusion. I'm rolling. I mean, I get it though. I mean, everybody is clocking where people are at. Like why would you want to be in a room with Parvati by yourself? I mean, it's I mean, but end of the day, I feel like, but people want to work together, put the olive branch out there. I don't know, is it an instance here? That's like a gamer move, right? That's what people do in the Big Brother Survivor. Like, hey, you guys work together. We're all in the alliance together. Like, I mean, I think Phaedra was good to kind of get out there, and I think everybody has an inkling that Phaedra is a traitor. I
Mhm.
think I feel like they think Parvati is a traitor, and I feel like it's interesting to see how the show has navigated that with the fact that Peter did not accept the offer. So I wonder
Yeah.
if there's going to be a traitor or die coming up soon. I wonder, I think it's just interesting moving forward. Just like from
It
a
is very interesting. I think Sandra, the thing that is unsaid is that, and I think Sandra actually posted this on Instagram. So they do know that Parvati and Phaedra are the traitors, but their whole thing is, but we're gonna keep them to the end because the minute we take them out, we're gonna have to start at zero.
I mean, and that's where I was saying from a gameplay standpoint, Sandra knows exactly what. Like, I feel like that's the thing where you like we had these games, right? And then you just kind of certain things happen with these games, and then it becomes a meta game that kind of gets attached to kind of different situations. I don't think they apply all the time, but in a situation like where you have a solid idea about who the traders are based on the traders' actions, and you can finagle your way to the end. Like if you're a faithful, that's when you have the advantage. The only advantage that the traders have is that they know each other. Once that
Mhm.
advantage is negated, it's like knowing where the idol is. Like
Mm.
I'm not scared of idols. I don't think idols do that much, especially if you know where they're at. Like I feel like people, oh, don't tell anybody you have an idol. Like you can't use an idol effectively without someone knowing you have an idol. Like because no one's going to tell you you're going home. So by knowing where the traders are, it's kind of like knowing where the idols are. So you're like, okay, I know what this trader is doing. So if you know where a trader is, and you think that person's a trader, they're targeting somebody, you rock with that person. Like you kind of, if you know who both are, you kind of stay lower in their radar and you're trying to. And I think that becomes the meta shift once you think you understand what the traders are. But
Yeah.
you're faithful or your enemy. Like you're not getting cool points or banishing all the traders this early. The faithful are your enemy
Yeah.
too.
So people were mad. I don't know how you feel, but we don't get a round table this time around.
Oh
Alan
yeah,
announces we got to go to the woods.
they had to do it. I mean, this is classic production. We gotta get to whatever episodes they gotta get to. It's
Yep.
like we gotta get to these episodes at the end. We gotta get whatever 11, 12 episodes. I mean, I feel like I get it. I wish that we got some more drama with regards to friendships cracking or alliance friendships cracking. Like I don't know, they have like an exile trader sleep outside island or something like that. Like that would have
Mhm.
been a cool little test. With you three will have to live out here while the others go. Like something like that
Yeah.
would have been fun to. But yeah, no round table. I dig it though. I'm not so anti it. It's just
Yeah.
kind of more so. I like what they did. I like maybe like the trust thing or whatever like that. And then you have like superpower. I think something should have been there, but I'm not against not having the. Well, yeah, I am. I think people punishment deserves that. So yeah, I was up in arms a little bit, but you get it. They got that shoulder bruise. They got a shoulder make. So
Yes, yes. So we're in the woods. Alan explains that they all have to light a torch. Feels familiar to Survivor players. And Sandra and Kevin, they got the shield. So they get to start and they light the torch of the person that they want to keep safe. So they light Sheree. Sheree looks surprised, but I think Sheree, the one thing you can give her, she might not be on top of it, but like she seems to have good social standing, so great. They light her torch. Sheree then lights Phaedra. Phaedra starts tearing up because they have a long friendship. Trishelle keeps pleading for her life, yo. Why is Trishelle so concerned?
I feel like this is. I feel like this could be two things. I feel like either Trishelle, it could have been Trishelle saying it just those amount of times, and it was beefed up for dramatic effect, or I feel like she was drawing to the highest level of drawtivity. And for those who don't know, Philadelphia drawing means you were just on one, you're being
Yeah.
extra. I mean, but in those games, like you do want to feel like you have a person. But even with Giselle, CT isn't in the faithful of all faithfuls. He's not part of that, faithful of faithfuls crew. You know,
Hmm.
but so I mean, and she probably felt vulnerable because there may be conversations that Phaedra and Parvati are the traitors, and if it gets back that she's been trying to target, Phaedra, a
Hmm.
direct hit she may be worried about. I do think she has covered that she's the only girl in the group before, and she has Peter, Bergie, and John in front of her from a murdering standpoint. Um, but she's probably just worried. I mean, you want safety, man. Like you don't like, especially there's no voting. You still just want that safety, no matter what. Like so,
Yeah.
I mean, I would err on the side of begging for something rather than not if I'm on the show. So if I ever had the
Right.
opportunity ever again, I'm begging and I'm like, yo, James is drawing. Yep, I'm drawing. I want that shield. So
But I'm also like, what social work, what campaigning did you do before this? It's last minute. But yeah, very interesting. So then CT, Phaedra lights CT's torch. CT's like, ooh, it's feeling warm over here. She can light my torch. He's torn between Trishelle and John. He picks John since he's definitely a faithful. He said game over friendship. And, John then picked Peter. Peter was relieved because he saw, I think, his life flash before his eyes too. So Sandra changes her mind and she's like, I think Peter actually might be a faithful because he was shook. He was stressing. He was sweating. That leaves Trishelle, Parvati, Kate, Bergie, and MJ in danger to
Ooh.
be murdered.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I had another one. I didn't. So MJ's upset. She's trying to guilt trip. I don't think it works, which
It
also makes me her misguided faithful of the week.
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where like you like I feel like sometimes people like to get sympathy or want to be heard, and like there's certain times where it's just kind of for me, it's just like especially when you get to the stage of the game, it's like yo, somebody had to get chosen, yo. Like it is what it is. Like it's
Hmm.
kind of one of it's like like me that decision was independent of I would say friendship or
Hmm.
relationship. It's like you're just like but then it depends on how people are playing. Like she may be playing a more friendship game where it's like, yo, like that's kind of
Yeah.
I expected this. But at the same time, like if you like you can't really get mad, but people do. But the question is, do you have the influence? A lot of times it's like you don't want people mad because they had the influence to vote you out, so you're not gonna say anything. So I mean,
Hmm.
she was upset, everybody was upset that he getting chose, but it's a game, man. The best balance in these shows is when there's the right level of loyalty and the right level of backstab. When you earn that backstab and you really are betraying loyalty, but there's no loyalty, that's why you don't have that betrayal where it's like, who moment, because the loyalty wasn't there to start. So
Yeah.
that's a double edged sword.
Speaking of that, Trishelle also salty. She's like, "Oh, Trishelle, Trishelle killed my nerves because I'm still salty about Peppermint, but the way she also tries to paint like CT a certain way, she can't just say I'm hurt. She's like, well, CT doesn't want to talk to me. Meanwhile, CT walks into the room because there's no evidence of that. This is probably the first chance he gets to talk to her. And she's just like, oh, I shouldn't go up to him. He hurt me. And he's like, hey, yeah, I want to talk to you. She just talks about how she's hurt.
I
Okay.
mean, from a this may be on the wrong podcast to say this on, but I mean, I've been there before. I mean, I've been there
Mhm.
before where it's like I mean, from the CT standpoint, where it's kind of just like, yo, I'm I'm down to talk to you. I don't know what you think. I like, yo, what do you want from me? I don't know what to tell you. Like I didn't actually do anything to you.
Yeah.
I didn't like you didn't we didn't have this conversation. It wasn't like a spoken rule, but I'm but in certain situations, depending on a person's social standing, that person can be playing the bad guy. So if that's a whole different situation. If there was a different social situation in the house, and Tracell had people that like believed her and CT was maybe less liked, that whole
Mhm.
thing could work. Like, oh my gosh, like I could see, like say Sheree did not pick Phaedra, oh my gosh, they've been together for 20 years and
Yep.
they ain't picking. It's like the narrative spin, spin is important in these games, and that
Yes.
narrative spin is very very important.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to bed. It's been pointed out. Bergie is full on in bed with a teddy bear. So, and our traders, Phaedra and Parvati, they're in the turret. They're talking about, who should they murder. So this is who is on the block. MJ, Bergie, Kate, Trishelle. I'm guessing it's gonna be Trishelle.
So I feel like the move should be to take out probably Kate. And the reason why I say that is as a trader, you want to keep the faithful of the faithfuls beefing against the non-faithful of the non-faithfuls. So if you're a traitor, you want to keep the faithful of the faithfuls together. I mean, like to keep the beef going. Now
Mhm.
and by not killing Peter or anybody in the faithful of the faithfuls, right?
Mhm.
That may take the heat off of Parvati. Like if I know this guy is coming at me full steam, two straight murders, I don't murder him. I'm not the murderer. I wish I could murder you. Like I can't clearly. Like, you're gonna keep coming at me and not dying. Like So it's how you kind of can spin it. I think Kate would be. I think that would kind of, throw suspicion away from Phaedra and Parv. It may throw suspicion onto the Faithful Five because they're not in the Faithful Five, and then and Sandra put the seed out there that one of the traitors could be inside the Faithful Five, and maybe
Mhm.
the faithful of all faithfuls aren't as faithful as they think because people from our side keep going home. It gotta be one of those traitors on the other side. And note the other two faithfuls are with the non-faithfuls. So they still
Mhm.
keep their numbers as well. So
Mhm.
I think that could be the play. I think taking out Peter's the obvious play, but I feel like or Bergie would be the obvious play. I think the smart play is to possibly take out Kate, and lead the other side together and leaving everybody thinking, why are y'all all still together? Clearly,
Mhm.
you're close to a traitor, and that's why he's keeping you in the game.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that's
feel
the
you
way to
on
go.
that. I feel you on that. I do think Kate's safe only because Parvati said, I would actually like to bring Kate on later as a traitor. Like, and that's interesting.
Th- That would be nuclearly bad. Kate would sell them out so quick, like legit, This, like I see Kate at the round say, "Well, second part, yeah, I thought it was part all along." Go boop, without any regard, without any second thought. She would be
Yeah.
like, "Part her name on the block? Bye bye." She's straight like Alex, yo. Alex, hey, you got Australian traders, yo. Marielle, she was evil. She was like, "Yo, we gotta get these people out of here." I was like, "Yo, it's early. Just targeting traders." That's how Kate would be. Kate would just forget
Yeah.
she a trader, start targeting them at the round table. Like, my bad.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's like Parvati says, I just have to keep surviving the next day. But I think when she picked Peter for the recruit, she was just like, I want to burn this place down. So I don't even know how much Parvati like is thinking just game wise at this moment. I think she's just like, I want to burn it down.
Yeah, I mean, and not to say anything, but it's $250,000. It's not like super crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
with taxes, so I feel like there is a full element that makes it more fun to it as well. Where it's like, all right, I'm good. It's great. It's nice money, but is it changing anybody that's here's lives? Maybe not. So I can have a little more fun.
Yeah.
I do like that aspect that she was thinking like, yo, like let's have Peter. But I also think that Peter was chose to be a traitor. He could. I feel like after watching the other seasons, if I became a trader, I would literally target their other trader. Like
Yeah.
I would immediately wait there like I'm faithful. Then like, yeah, we're getting them out there. And I think there's a danger to recruiting someone that is cutthroat like Peter, who does have people where you can go back and say, I'm a faithful. You know what I'm saying? Like they tried to recruit me, but or they didn't, or you say nothing or whatever and keep it
Right.
moving. It's like I haven't changed just
Yeah.
because the faithful, so what you want from me? So
Yeah, it just Peter had to have acting abilities for that. I don't there's another universe where it happens and we're
I
just
mean,
not
don't
in it.
underestimate Peter like Dan did.
I
See
won't.
that? See that's
I
what
won't.
that. But
But
that's the
that's the
thing.
part.
You you can't cut off your you can't cut off your biases in these games or in
Yeah.
general. Like you want to, but you can't. Like it's just it's one of those hard things that. It's
Mhm.
funny. I was at one of these events and I was like, "Yeah, I like messing with the fans and communities." Like, "Yo, so what you gonna do?" Like, like having a fake little mini tribal council with some people. Like, yo, like it's different. Like, you gotta vote one of these people out. Like, you got it's for y'all. I'm buying 3 drinks. Who not getting a drink?
Right, right.
It's like, like answer correctly. Like, this, like, so now it's a little different when you out there. So I feel like
It is.
it's fun. It's all fun, but yeah, I enjoy these things. So
All right. Yeah. That's it for the episode. So at the end, for every recap, we ask, do we have a beautiful black moment of the episode and do we have a chaotic bi one? So what's your answer for the black beautiful moment?
I feel like I just like I don't know the history of the Sheree, Phaedra, Bravo stuff, but I can
Yeah.
imagine what it could be.
Yeah.
um, so just seeing that, I feel like just having seeing this black friendship and on television is dope. Like you don't really get to see relationships like that grow or develop over time, like for a mainstream purpose. Especially in reality TV. Like, I mean, I don't know any like offhand. I can there probably are outside of Fiji, but like what dynamic black friendships have happened in like the reality TV space during the course of a season, let
Yep.
alone prior history going into it. So I feel like it's something that was just good to see, especially when you have a lot of other negative images
Hmm.
about friendships and especially black womanhood and black women and their ability to like have and sustain friendships, especially in the reality TV space.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think I'm gonna pick Phaedra giving advice to Parvati as my beautiful black moment because she ended up saying some things that everyone was thinking watching Parvati so far, and she just gave it to her straight, no chaser.
But see, exactly, like that's the thing. But if that was a game where she'd have been like, "So you're doing great," and everybody like, "No, like, come on, yo, I'm trying to help you out." Yeah.
So, as we know, Parvati is basically our queer person of the season. So this usually becomes like a Parvati moment. I think maybe hon- honestly, I think maybe Parvati during Phaedra's advice, when she was just like, "What do you mean I'm an ice princess?" And she has the look on her face of like,
Yeah,
Phaedra's like,
like
"It's that right there. It's that right there." But she can't help herself. She's just like, "What's going on here? What's going on?" It's like you're so chaotic and you can't change, and that kind of is lovely.
I mean, yeah, I mean, people are stuck in their ways. I guess off of going off that, from a part standpoint, I feel like her trying to form an alliance with John and there, I feel like that was just like it was just like the way like I feel like she became invested. I don't know, like I feel like it's probably the first time having a real conversation too. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I don't remember those two like piling around. Like I just don't see it happening. So I feel like that like I look forward to the John Parv friendship moving forward. Like imagine like them just kicking it. That would be very chaotic. I think he's the party starter on the low. Like I feel
yeah,
like from a chaotic standpoint, those two together will be the odd couple. However, I feel like I would want to have chaotic and party with those two.
yes, yes, I agree. That is it for the episode. Thank you so much, James, for joining me. Where can people follow you if they want to hear more of your traders' opinions?
Let's see. Let's see. You can follow me on Twitter, J to the Jones, Instagram, J to the Jones. Yeah, I mean, I'm around. I have a TikTok. I don't really use it, but it's there, J to the Jones, once again. So if you, James Jones, J, the number two, Jones, I was, two is my fraternity number that I pledged to my frat. So that's what J to the Jones is. There we go.
Which frat?
I'm Alpha.
Nice, nice. For me, I think the best way to just support this channel is to follow Black by Reality on all socials. I am going to continue our traders recaps. I have a guest for the rest of the month, which I'm so excited about. I'm talking to Izzy of Big Brother 25 one week, and I am talking to Chappelle, who has his new Kickback podcast. I will also be on there. So
My
very
guy Chappelle. Shout out to Chappelle. Shout out Black by Reality. Shout out Chappelle. Winner of
excited.
Traitors rap, but I'll be quiet about that.
Yeah. Also, Owen Knight. Owen Knight is going to be our guest at the end of February, and I'm so
my
excited about
mortal
that.
survivor. my mortal survivor enemy.
We're also covering Couple to Thruple, which is also on Peacock. If you're not watching it, do it. It is drama.
I feel like the dating shows, like I watched Dating and Afraid, Dating Naked and Afraid, the naked edition, and it looked like the Fiji beach. Like I swore they filmed in Fiji. I look like these look like
They
Survivor
might.
beaches. Like
They
is it good?
use these locations, like the house that they use in Couple to Thruple. We figured out was the same house from Perfect Match.
Oh, I mean, it will make sense to start building houses with the thought of production in mind, like
Yeah,
for stuff. It would be interesting concept,
yeah,
but we just that's a sorry tangent, but follow Black by Reality. But I just hijacked
yeah.
the end of the podcast, so
No,
no care.
no. This is
I
we're
apologize.
talking about the other reality shows because this is what we talk about over here. Another thing that we're doing is we're doing recaps of Love is Blind. Season 6 starts this upcoming Wednesday. I'm gonna be stressed out, but I'm excited to talk about it with Quita. And then the last thing, Survivor. Survivor's coming back later this month. I'm trying to get more Survivor guests for that, but I'm also so excited about this cast from what I see already. And so, yeah, please subscribe. If you like this video, please like it and comment. And have a good one, guys.
Cool beans. Peace.